All right, we're going to look at this other one. The difference with this parabola is it has a negative x squared minus or plus 4x plus 1. And remember that y is the same thing as a g of x or an f of x or an h of x. It's just a fancy way to say a function of x or y equals. All right, so remember the first thing we're going to do is we are going to make a table. So I'm going to make a table using x, and I know I'm going to plug it into negative x squared plus 4x plus 1, and I am going to find all the y's. Now, to make my life easier, I'm going to use that table with number 2 by finding the vertex. So remember, the x point of the vertex is the opposite of b over 2a. So if this is ax squared plus bx plus c, I know my a is negative 1, my b is 4, and my c is 1. So I'm going to write that down here in red. The opposite of b over 2a will be my x point of the vertex, and that's my middle point. And the opposite of b is negative 4. 2 times negative 1. Negative 4 over negative 2 is going to give me a positive 2. So I'm going to throw that right smack dab in the middle, and I'm going to use a table to plug that 2 in. Negative 4 plus 8 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So remember, I have to graph this parabola, and I know at 2, 5, we have the vertex, and I know the vertex is telling me the symmetry. So I know if I go one lower and one higher, it will be exactly the same. Now we're going to see something a little different here with the a term being a negative. So let's just observe, let's just plug in numbers. If I plug in a 1, negative 1 squared plus 4 times 1 plus 1, well, negative 1 squared is negative 1, plus 4 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So it looks like this is going to go right through 1 and 4. And I know because it's symmetrical, this will be the exact same thing. So negative 9 plus 12 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So at 3, 4, I also have a dot. So can I make an assumption that since this has a negative, it is now going down? So remember, all of our parabolas have a pattern. That pattern comes from the x squares. That pattern is over 1, up 1, over 1, up 3, over 1, up 5, over 1, up 7. But what happens is when I have that negative at that a term, all these ups I have to multiply through by a negative. Well, what happens if it was a 2? Then I would multiply all of those through by a 2. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So now from this point, I already went over 1, down 1. Now I'm going to go over 1, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over 1, down 5. So notice my parabola still has that same U shape, still has that same pattern of over 1, up 1, over 1, up 3, over 1, up 5. But because of the a term, I know I had to multiply all the ups by a negative 1. And now my parabola has a downward shape, but it still looks like that downward U. So we're going to use the vertex formula to find the middle term and just plug in numbers around it to graph using a table or graph with the pattern given. All right, great job.